Hello friends of Oak Hills, this is Pastor Dale with our weekly video Touchpoint. Today is Thursday, July 20th, 2023. Our Points to Ponder article this week is titled, To Share or Not to Share. In Paul's ethical teaching for the Christian community, we come to his treatment of the 8th commandment in Ephesians 4:28. He says, Let the thief no longer steal, but rather let him labor, doing honest work with his own hands, so that he may have something to share with anyone in need. We will be digging into this verse on Sunday morning, but I wanted to use this space to think about what the Bible teaches on sharing. As an alternate to stealing, Paul commends the readiness to share. The concept of sharing one's goods is commanded by God. In Leviticus 19:9 through 10, God says, When you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not reap your field up to its edge, neither shall you gather the gleanings after your harvest. And you shall not strip your vineyard bare, neither shall you gather the fallen grapes of your vineyard. You shall leave them for the poor and for the sojourner. I am the Lord your God. This comes in a string of commands that impact our interactions with others. God concludes this series of verses with the catch-all command, You shall love your neighbor as yourself. Leviticus 9:19-18. There are several principles underlining the command to not consume all the production of our hands, or in modern language, the wages that we earn. First, God reminds the Israelites that they had been strangers in the land of Egypt. Leviticus 19, verse 34. This principle emphasizes that we can never presume to think we are better than others. We enjoy provisions and comfort only as a gift of God's grace. Second, God reminds the Israelites that their bountiful harvests are gifts from Him. We can see this in Deuteronomy 6, verses 10 through 15. In fact, He warns them to take care lest you forget the Lord who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. Verse 12. This principle emphasizes that all the things we enjoy, even the wages of our labors, are ultimately gifts from the Lord. Third, God calls His people to love their neighbors as themselves. This principle emphasizes the golden rule, which states that we should do to others as we would have them do to us. Matthew 7, verse 12. If we are in need, we would want our neighbors to be open to sharing with us. So in a nutshell, the call to share is a call to not hoard all of our possessions for ourselves, and ultimately is a call to be like God. He is infinitely rich, and He freely shares with the Israelites in the Old Testament and with the church and us in the New Testament. As God has freely given to us, we are to freely share with others. Some have deduced from this calling that Christians should live in some sort of commune where no one holds personal property. The Jesus people in Chicago sought to practice such a community. The Bible, however, does not teach this extreme view. In the early church, believers did sell their possessions and did bring the proceeds to the apostles for distribution to those who had need, in Acts 4, verses 34 and 35. When Ananias and Sapphira sold a piece of property in Acts 5, Peter affirmed, though, that their proceeds, the proceeds of their sale, were theirs at their disposal. There was no obligation to give all of the proceeds from the sale. On a side note, Ananias and Sapphira lost their lives ultimately because they lied to God, not because they didn't give all the proceeds of the sale. Then in 1 Thessalonians 4, verses 11 and 12, Paul commands the church to aspire to live quietly and to mind your own affairs and to work with your hands, as we instructed you, so that you may walk properly before outsiders and be dependent on no one. The Bible teaches a proper work ethic where we seek to support our lives with the labors of our hands. The call to share is the call to understand that every penny we earn is not for us alone. The power of the gospel enables us to fulfill this call. By God's grace, our hearts are freed from the love of money and even the dependence on money to keep us secure. We give freely because we have nothing to fear to lose. Christ is ours, and we are Christ's, and nothing can take that away from us. Just a couple highlights to touch on this week in the middle of July. Once again, we remind you to be praying for our missionaries of the month. We're praying for Quinn Sloan. He's the new RUF minister on the KU campus. And so pray for him and his wife as they get adjusted, as they get settled into their new home, and as Quinn prepares for ministry and the students coming on campus in just a very few short weeks. Secondly, we want to draw your attention to a congregational meeting has been called on Sunday, August 13th, for the purpose of officer elections. We have 3 men who have been judged to be eligible for election by our session. Alex Kymack for ruling elder, Michael Buckley for ruling elder, and Brian Wagner for deacon have all been approved, and they will be on the ballot at that congregational meeting on August 13th. So we encourage our members to plan to be there, and everyone is welcome, of course, to attend and be a part of that. And then lastly, I just want to draw the attention to the fact that Pastor John and I are working on fall plans. We are brainstorming and dreaming of ways that we could cultivate deeper discipleship, deeper fellowship with one another, and even thinking about our life group ministry and how that we could help equip and empower those to be more effective in touching the lives of our people. And of course, always on our mind is thinking about how we build bridges with the people in our neighborhood and the people in the community. We want to open up doors of opportunities to share the hope of Christ with our neighbors. So we look forward to unveiling and sharing more about that as we nail down more plans for the fall. We always use the summertime to revamp, to rethink, to re-energize, to refocus as we prepare for another school year of ministry. Well, thank you for joining me this day for Touchpoint. We look forward to worshiping with you on Sunday and being with you soon. God bless.